Be'ezras Hashem, with Hashem's help, we begin today yet another book of the Rambam, number 5. The Rambam, as he always does, in the beginning of each book, he starts with a pasuk, a verse that matches the content of this book. And this one is from Tehillim, the longest chapter in Tehillim, chapter 119. Pe'amai hachein bi'imratecha ve'al tashlet bi kol aven. Prepare my steps according to your word, and don't let any sin rule me. Because we're going to see in a second how this verse matches the book. It says the Rambam, Sefer Chamishi v'hu Sefer Kedusha. This is book 5, and it's the book of holiness. Why is this book called the book of holiness? Because it contains all the laws about which Hashem says that the reason He gave them to us is to keep us holy from all the other nations. Hilchos of Shalosh v'zehu Siduran. There are 3 sets of laws in this book, and this is the order. Hilchos Issurei Biah, the laws about forbidden relationships. Hilchos ma'acholes asurais, the laws of forbidden foods. Hilchos Shchita, the laws of slaughtering, which is part of forbidden foods because it's part of making food kosher. V'hamitzvahs hanichlales bahen, all the mitzvahs that are included in these laws, mifurashes bishmoisan bimkoimoisan, are all explicitly stated in their names, in their places. In other words, before each set of laws, we're going to learn all the mitzvahs that are in each set of laws. And here you can see already why the Rambam chose this verse, because this verse is about staying away from sin, staying away from improper relationships, staying away from improper food. And this book, which is all about separating ourselves from the bad, the Rambam calls holiness. Think about that. Just staying away from what you're not supposed to be involved in already is considered a level of holiness. Usually we say holiness means to live in a different space, to live in a different lifestyle. But the Rambam is telling us that according to basic Jewish law, as long as you separate yourself from the things that you're not supposed to separate yourself, that's already the first step towards reaching the ultimate holiness. Exactly. Sur meira, and then va'aseh tov. And so we begin Hilchos Issurei Biah, the laws of forbidden relationships. Yesh bichlalan sheva ushleishim mitzvahs. The Rambam always does this in the beginning of every set of laws. He gives us all the mitzvahs we're going to discuss. I think this is one of the longest lists. We've had a very long list in the first book. The laws of idol worship was like 51 mitzvahs. This one, the laws of forbidden relationships, also quite a lot. We have 37 mitzvahs. Mitzvah achas aseh, just one positive mitzvah. Ushleishim v'sheish mitzvahs leis aseh. 36 negative, because it's 36 people or relationships to stay away from. V'zehu praton, and these are their details. Aleph shalei lavei al ha'em. Number 1, no relations with your mother. Beis shalei lavei al eshes av. No relations with your father's wife. This is not even your mother. This is your father has another wife. Okay? Huh? No, a second wife. Gimel shalei lival achos. No relations with your sister. Dalid shalei lival bas eshes av. Not to have relations with the daughter of your father's wife. Now that sounds like a stepsister, right? You have a father, he has a wife, she has a daughter. But the truth is, there's no biblical isur against a stepsister. This is talking about a case of a half-sister, where they share only one parent, not both. Hey, shaloi livel bas habein. Not to have relations with your granddaughter through the son. So your son's daughter. Vav shaloi livel habas.
You mean don't marry?
Yes, don't live like married.
Don't marry.
But even relationships out of marriage. Yeah.
By the way, I think that they extended it even if you do have a step.
The rabbi said, no, yeah, stepsister stay away from. I know, but here we're talking about the biblical prohibitions. Vav shalei lival habas, no relations with your daughter. Tes shalei lival bas habas, no relations with your daughter's daughter. So the other type of granddaughter, through the son, also through the daughter. Ches shalei lisa isha uvita, you can never marry a woman and her daughter. You can never be married to a mother and a daughter at the same time. Tes shalei lisa isha ubas bena, you cannot marry a woman and her granddaughter through her son. Yud shalei lisa isha ubas bita, you cannot marry a woman and her granddaughter through her daughter. So either type of granddaughter, you cannot be married to a grandmother and a granddaughter at the same time. Yud aleph shalei liver achos of, not to have relations with the sister of your father. We call this a paternal aunt, your father's sister. Yud Beis shalei lival achos aim, not to have relations with your maternal aunt, your mother's sister. Yud Gimel shalei lival eshes achi ha'av, not to have relations with the wife of your paternal uncle. So it's not even blood relative, right? It's your father's brother, and he married somebody. That woman is also forbidden to you. Yudalit shaloi lival eishas habein, not to have relations with your daughter-in-law, your son's wife. Tezvav shaloi lival eishas ach, not to have relations with your sister-in-law. Now there's two ways to have a sister-in-law. Your brother's wife, that's one, and tezayin shaloi lival achos ishtoi, the sister of your wife. So that's sister-in-law. Here we're talking about even if they're not. Here we're talking about even if they're not. You had a brother, he had a wife. Your brother divorces the wife. You cannot marry her.
Oh.
Yes, even if she's not married.
Oh, okay.
Yud Zayin shalei lishkav im behema, not to have relations with an animal. Yud Ches shalei tavi isha behema aleha, neither can a woman have relations with a male animal. Yud Tes shalei lishkav im zachar, not to have relations with another man. Chaf shalei legalis ervas av, specific prohibition against marrying your father. So even though generally you say any man, there's a second prohibition for the father. Chaf alef shalei legalis ervas achi av. Huh? I'm saying in addition to not marrying another man, you cannot marry your father. So you transgress twice if you do with your father. Chaf alef shalei legalis ervas achi av, not to have relations with your father's brother. So again, even though any man is forbidden, with your paternal uncle, you have a second prohibition.
Listen, when you have one circle, why you just come to the inners? When you say, okay, this is forbidden, why you say, okay, when it's forbidden, it's forbidden?
Yeah, sometimes the Torah does that. It's called la'avor alav b'shnei lavin. We want to give you two prohibitions. So Torah says twice.
Ice cream, you can have this chocolate ice cream.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I agree.
you can have ice cream.
Yeah.
Why you...
Torah says no man, and then it says also an uncle and a father. Chav bei shalei lival eishes ish, not to marry any married woman. That's in the Ten Commandments. Lo tin'af. That's what it means. No taking any married woman. Chav gimel shalei lival nida, not to have relations with a woman who's menstruating. Chav dalet shalei lihischaten ba'ovdei kechavim u'mazalis, not to marry a non-Jew, an idol-worshipping Gentile. Chav hei shalei yavai amayni u'may'avi b'kal Hashem, a convert from the nations of Ammon and Moab cannot marry a Jew. Chavav.
We don't know it today, right?
Yeah, today we don't know who they are. Chavav shleila harchik der shlishi mitzri milavi bakal. If an Egyptian converts, then after 3 generations, we cannot push him away. If an Egyptian converts, he cannot marry a Jew. Neither can his son, but his grandson can.
But we do have those Egyptians.
Today we don't know. The Rambam will talk about it. Chav Zayin shleila harchik der shlishi adoimi milavi bakal. Same for an Edomite convert. Edomite converts. After 3 generations, we don't push them away from coming into the community. Ches l'yavei mamzer bakol. No mamzer, illegitimate son, born from a forbidden union by the Torah, he cannot marry a regular Jewess. Chavtes shaloi yavei saris bakol. An impotent man cannot marry into the community. Lamid shaloi lesare zachar afilu behem machayav va'oif. We're forbidden to castrate. Impotent, cannot have children. We are not allowed to actively castrate a male, even an animal, or a beast or a bird. You cannot stop a male creature from having children. Lamed Aleph, Shelo Yisa Koyin Gadol Almana. The high priest cannot marry a widow. Lamed Beis, Shelo Yival Koyin Gadol Almana Afilu B'loi Nisuin. A Kohen Gadol cannot have relations with a widow even without a proper marriage, no ceremony. Also forbidden. Lamed Gimel, Sheyisa Koyin Gadol Besula Ben Arusa. This is the one positive commandment. A Kohen Gadol has to marry a virgin girl in her youth. Lamed Daled, Shelo Yisa Koyin Gerusha. A regular Kohen cannot marry a divorced woman. Lamed Hey Shelo Yisa Zaina. A regular Kohen cannot marry a woman who engaged in a forbidden relationship. Lamed Vav Shelo Yisa Chalala. A Kohen cannot marry a Chalala. Chalala means a woman who was born from a forbidden Kohen relationship. So if a Kohen marries a divorced woman and they have a baby, this girl is a Chalala. And any Kohen cannot marry her. Lamed Zayin Shelo Yikrav Adam La'achas Mikol Ha'arayos Va'af Al Pi Shelo Boal. You're not allowed to have physical contact with any woman who is forbidden to you, even if you don't have relations. So you cannot really hug your aunt, and that kind of a thing. We're going to see later in the Rambam. There are some exceptions, yes. Ubir mitzvahs elu b'prakim elu. The explanation of all these mitzvahs is coming in the following 22 chapters, God willing, so we're going to be on this topic for the next 3 weeks. Says the Rambam Perek Rishon, chapter 1, halacha aleph. Haba al achas mikol ha'arayos ha'amures b'Torah. If somebody has relations with any of the prohibited women stated in the Torah, b'mezid, if he does so willfully, purposely, chayav kares, he is liable to excision. His neshama will be cut off. It means he's going to die early. Shenemar, as it says, it's the verse on the screen. Ki kol hasher yasem mikoila to'evei sa'ila. Anybody who commits any of these disgusting acts, v'nichresu hanefashes v'goymer, and the souls, plural, are going to be cut off. Shneim, both people involved, habayel v'haniveles, the man and the woman. V'im hayu shaygigin, but if they were inadvertent, you thought you're walking into the house to your wife, meanwhile it's your sister, chayavin chatas kvua. So then, both of them are obligated to bring a korban chatat, a sin offering. Kvu'ah means the set one, because there are two types of sin offerings. Some of them fluctuate according to how much money you have. It's called korban olev yored. Then you have chatat kvu'ah, the standard chatat offering, that's the one they have to bring.
What was the last? What you bring the chatat if you do what?
If you're unaware, you by mistake.
How you can do it by mistake?
Because you thought it was your wife, and meanwhile it was your sister. Now that's the basic law. The Rambam says, "V'yesh min ha'arayos shu b'misas beis din." There are some of the forbidden relationships that also get a person killed by the court. Yeser al hakares hashave bekulan, over and above the excision that's equal to all of them. Sometimes, for some of the relationships, you get actually killed, and the Rambam will go through them. Halacha beis oisan ha'arayos sheyesh b'hen misas beis din. Those forbidden relationships for which you get capital punishment by the court, im hayusham edim b'hasra. It's only if there were witnesses and warning, and they still didn't stop what they were doing. That's when you give them the death penalty that says in the Torah. Even if it's a Torah sage transgressing the law. So you would think that maybe you don't have to warn him. He knows the law. We don't give the death penalty and we don't give lashes unless there's a warning. Because the whole idea of warning in halacha, why do we give a warning? Not to teach you the law, it's to differentiate between somebody who's doing something inadvertently or purposely. If I give you a warning, now I know you're doing it purposely. If I didn't give you a warning, even if you might know that it's forbidden, but you might not realize that what you're doing is forbidden. So we give the warning to differentiate between shogeg and mezid, inadvertent and purposeful, and that's why no matter who the Jew is, you must give him a warning before you kill him.
But in any case, the kid is mamzer.
Yes.
Intentional, unintentional.
Yes.
Either way,
That's
mamzer.
true. That's true. Here we're talking about his punishment. Halacha daled. Ha'arayos sheyesh b'hen misas beis din. The forbidden relationships that carry capital punishment. Mehen shemisasan biskila. Some of them are killed by stoning. Umehen shemisasan bisreifa. Some of them are killed by burning. Umehen shemisasan bechenek. And some of them are killed by choking, by strangulation. Now, in the 14th book of the Rambam, we're going to see there's 4 types of ways that the court would kill. Stoning, burning. It's not burning at the stake. Burning means you would pour hot lead into the person's mouth to burn from the inside. And then there was beheading and strangulation. But none of the arayot get killed by beheading. Only one of the 3, stoning, burning, or strangulation. It says the Rambam, ve'elu shemisasan biskila. The following 6 cases, I believe. 6 cases get stoning. Haba al imay, one who has relations with his mother. Here's the man, that's his mother. That's stoning. Val eshes aviv, the father's wife. Father's wife is not his mother, it's another wife, also stoning. Val eshes benoi v'hi anikras kalasei, the daughter of your son who is called daughter-in-law. Here's the man, that's his son, daughter-in-law. The hasheichevim zachar, and one who has relations with another man, stoning. The hasheichevim behema, a man with an animal. And a woman who brings an animal upon her, all these 6 cases get stoning. The following are the cases that get burning. And so what we're going to see over here is, all the cases of burning involve where a man is married to 2 women who are related. So here's the man, here's his wife, and if he's going to marry any of the other women that are related to that woman, they're all going to get to be burnt. The following are the forbidden relationships that are killed by burning. Haba al bas ishtay, the chaye ishtay. One who has relations with his wife's daughter during his wife's lifetime. So here's the wife, there's the daughter. If he has relations with the wife's daughter, forbidden, that's burning. The al bas bita, on her granddaughter, the daughter of the daughter, that's over here. The al bas bina, and on the daughter of her son, also her granddaughter, through the son. So here's the woman, either this woman, or this woman, all carry burning. Same thing going upwards. The al-ain ishtay, the mother of your wife, your mother-in-law. The al-ain ima, and on the mother's mother. The al-aim aviha, and on the father's mother. So all 3 women upwards and all 3 women downwards that are related to him, they all get burning. And then the haba,
Even if they are married.
even if they're the haba al bitoy, the al bas bitoy, the al bas benoy. The same would apply if it's his own daughter, his own granddaughter from his daughter, or his own granddaughter from his son. I didn't put it in the pictures, but it's the same idea. Whether it's from the wife or from his own, the point is when you have your own women that are related to you and to your wife, those are forbidden by burning. Halacha vav, ein lecha erva bechenek elo eshes ish bilvat. The only forbidden relationship who gets choking is a married woman. A regular married woman, you commit adultery, you get stoned, you get choked. Shanemar, as it says, this is the verse that talks about a married woman. It says here, "V'ish asher yin'afes eshes ish," when a man commits adultery with a married woman, asher yin'afes eshes re'eu, with the wife of his friend, mois yumas hano'ef v'hano'afes. Both the adulterer and the adulteress get killed. Now the Torah just says killed. So we have a rule. Umisa ha'amura b'Torah stam. Whenever Torah uses the word death by default with no further clarification, hi chenek. It always means choking. So a regular married woman gets choking. However, v'im hoisa bas kohen, if the married woman was the daughter of a kohen, special law, hi bisreifa, she gets burned. Only ubayala bechenek, only the man, the adulterer, gets strangulation, but the woman does not. Shenemar, as it says, a special verse by the Kohen's daughter right here. Uvas ish kohen kisei cheliznais. If the daughter of a male Kohen will begin or will desecrate her father's name by committing adultery, but eish tisarev, she will be burnt by fire. A very special law. If a woman was consecrated, she had already gotten the ring, but hadn't yet fully been married, and then she commits adultery, shneim biskila, special law. Both of them get stoned. Shenemar, as it says, ki siya nara visula. Some commentaries fix it to the verse actually says ki yiyah. If there will be a virgin woman, the Rambam skips these words, but it says here, Ma'orasa li'ish, if she's engaged to a man and another man finds her and lies with her, you take them both out, and then what does it say? Uskaltem oisam ba'avanim. You stone them with stones, both the man and the girl. So within a married woman, we have three levels. Regular married woman, choking. Kohen married woman, daughter of a Kohen, burning. A woman in the stage between consecration and marriage, stoning. V'chol mokem shenemar b'Torah. Now, by the way, the Rambam goes back and says, any place where it says in the Torah these words, Mois yumasu demehem bam, they shall die. Their blood is on them. Harehin biskila, they get stoned. That's why all the other cases I gave you before get stoned. Because look at here. These are 4 verses from the Torah in Vayikra, where it always says the same expression, and they all get stoned. Look at the first one. The ish asher yishkav et eshet aviv. The father's wife. What does it say? Mot yumtu demehem bam. So they get stoned. Ish asher yishkav et kalato. Daughter-in-law. Mot yumtu demehem bam. So they get stoned. Ish asher yishkav et zachar. With a man. Also, mot yumatu demehem bam. And when a woman comes to an animal, mot yumatu demehem bam. That's the source for all the other cases we saw before when it came to stoning. It says that Rambam Malacha Zayin, she'ar ha'arayos kulan, all of the other forbidden relationships, bekares bilvat. They only get excision, no capital punishment. Ve'ein bahem misas beis, and they don't have the court to give them death. Lefichach, therefore, im hayu sham eidim b'hasra, if they were witnesses and they were warned, beis din malkin oisan, they would get lashes. Shekol chayav ekrisais loikin. We have a general rule. Whenever you get karet, that's God's bank account with you. He takes care of you with karet. But the court will give you lashes. So, the ones that have death, get death. The ones that don't have death, get lashes. Says the Rambam, let's talk about some general rules that govern forbidden relationships. Halacha ches. Haba al achas mechayav elavin. When somebody marries a woman who is forbidden just by a negative prohibition. There's no karet. Just a negative prohibition. For example, a mamzeret, okay? So, b'mezid, if you do it purposely, hu loika v'hi. Both he and she get lashes. V'im b'shegig, if you do it inadvertently, you're unaware. You married a girl, you didn't realize she was a mamzeret. That happens all the time, unfortunately, today. People go through messed up marriages. Comes a daughter, she becomes frum. Before you know it, she's dating the daughter, the son of some big Talmid Chacham. And then after the marriage, oops, she was illegitimate. So if you did it inadvertently, p'turin miklum. They're exempt from any punishment. V'habal achas mehashniyos. But if somebody has relations with a woman who is forbidden, rabbinically, shniya means second, because it's second level. It's not in the Torah, the sages forbade it. For example, a great-grandmother. The Torah, it only says,
Grandma.
Yes, grandmother. But some of the great-grandmothers are only forbidden rabbinically. Some are forbidden biblically, but some are forbidden only rabbinically. So if you do it b'nezid, if you do it on purpose, the rabbis give you rabbinic lashes. Not biblical lashes, rabbinic lashes. But if somebody has relations with a woman who is forbidden by a positive commandment, you don't get lashes. If the court takes the authority into their own hands and gives them lashes, rabbinic lashes, just to stop people from doing sins, they have the option, because the court can always do whatever they want. Halacha tes. Onus, general rule. Any time a person is forced into a forbidden relationship, patur miklum. He's always exempt. Min hamalkus, o min hakarban, ve'in tzarich lemar min hamisa. From lashes, from sacrifices, and for sure from death. No punishment. Shenemar, as it says, this is a verse by a girl who's raped. V'lana'ara lo yisa'aseh davar. To the girl, you do nothing. Why? Because she's not at fault. She's passive. When do we say this though? When the person that the relations are being done to is forced. Usually it's the woman who's raped, or the other man who's being forced. Aval habayel, but the person that's the rapist, no such thing as being forced. Ein le'ainas. He has no situation of being forced. She'ein kishrei ela ladas. You can only have an erection mindfully. It's impossible to be forced. You must have wanted something. Ve'isha shetchilas bi'asa ba'ainas v'seifa beratzain. What if a woman begins the relationship as rape, but in the end she says it's voluntary? P'tura miklum, she is still exempt. Human nature is that when a woman begins to be raped, it's impossible that she shouldn't in the end want it. Because the inclination of a person and his nature forces him to begin to want. So even if the beginning of the act was done involuntarily, that already is enough to exempt her. It says that when somebody inserts only the tip of the organ, that's called ma'areh. That's the Hebrew word for it. Miloshoin es mekoira he'era. It says in the Torah, I didn't put it up on the screen here, I should have. It says he has uncovered. He'era means uncovered. He uncovered the source. So uncovered is even by a minimal entry. The hamachnis kala ever, one who inserts the entire organ, who anikra goymer, is called the complete. He finishes. Uvechol abiyasa asures, when it comes to any forbidden relationships, echad hamayra ve'echad hagoymer. You get punishment no matter what stage you reached. Beginning or the end. Even if he didn't release any seed, even if he then separated himself and never finished the act, once he inserts the tip of the organ, both of them become liable. Misas Bezdin, Aikare, say Malkos, say Makas Mardos, whatever the case is, if it's death, if it's incision, if it's lashes, if it's rabbinic lashes, always the same. Both in the natural way and the unnatural way. The moment he enters, both of them become liable to death, to excision, to lashes, or to rabbinic lashes. Whether they're lying or standing, for the insertion is where the liability comes. If somebody engages in forbidden relationships with no erection, the organ was limp, like the organ of a dead person, like somebody who's very sick. Or somebody born that way, is born impotent, like a naturally impotent man, even though he manually uses his hand to insert the organ, you can't hold him liable for excision, not for lashes, and for sure not for death. That's not considered relations. But he can disqualify a woman from eating truma. This is a law we're going to explore in the 7th book of the Rambam. If a woman who is either the daughter of a Kohen or she's married to a Kohen, she's allowed to eat truma. That's the special food that's separated from crops given to a Kohen. The moment such a woman engages in a forbidden relationship, she's disqualified to eat truma. It says the Rambam over here, a limp organ is powerful enough to disqualify such a woman from eating truma. The court would give them both rabbinic lashes, but we can't hold you for a major punishment because it's not considered real relations. Halacha Yud Beis haba al erva min ha'arayos kimis asek. If somebody engages in relations with a forbidden woman casually, which means he isn't intending to do the act, even though he didn't intend to do it, chayav, you're still liable. Bottom line, you did the act of relations. The same thing applies to lower level women, women that are forbidden only by a negative commandment or rabbinically. But if tragically a person would have relations with a woman when she's dead, pater miklum, he's exempt. Certainly if it was only a woman who was forbidden by negative prohibition. Called a necrophilia. That's not considered a full relations. If somebody has relations with a person who is a treifa. Treifa means you're going to die within 12 months. You're terminally ill. There's no way for you to survive 12 months. Or with an animal that's going to die within 12 months. Chayav, you're still liable. Chayhu, right now they're alive. The woman is alive. The animal is alive. Even though in the end you're going to die from the sickness, right now you're alive. Even if somebody had slaughtered a woman's neck, both arteries, but she's still moving around, if somebody were to have relations in that moment, he would be liable. Until either she fully dies or she's completely beheaded. Halacha Yud Gimel. Another general rule about forbidden relationships. Kol isha asura me'elu. Any woman who we said is forbidden, im haisa bas shalosh shanim v'yem echad v'mayla. Once she reaches the age of 3 and 1 day and above, gadel haba aleha chayav misa oikares emalkos. If an adult were to have relations with her, he's liable to death or excision or lashes, whatever the case may be. V'hi p'tura miklum. Of course, the girl is exempt unless she is a major, unless she has reached bat mitzvah. But if she's less than 3 years old, not only is she exempt, the man is exempt as well. Because relations with a less than 3-year-old is not considered to be relations. Something the opposite. You have an adult female and a child who is a boy. If he's anywhere above 9 years old, that's enough for the woman to become liable to death or excision or lashes. Of course, the boy is exempt. But if he's less than 9 years old, they're both exempt. Because he's less than an age.
The woman is liable, right?
If he's more than 9 years old, the woman is liable. Less than 9 years old, even the woman is not liable. Because the boy cannot do a proper relations. One who engages in relations with a male, or the male has relations with him. Once they insert the beginning of the organ, if they're both adults, they get stoned. Right here you have it. With a man you shall not lie. Doesn't matter which position you are, the active or the passive. Same thing, if one of the men was 9 years old, a boy of 9 years old or more, the man who was active or passive with him is stoned. The hakatan pater, where the child is exempt. But if the other male was 9 years old or less, they're both exempt. Nevertheless, even in the case of a less than 9-year-old boy, the other male should be hit by the court. You bet he should be hit. Because he has line with the male. Even though he's less than 9 years old, bottom line, there was some kind of relations. Tesvav. Whether you have relations with a male or with a hermaphrodite who has both reproductive organs, but you use the male organ. Chayav, that's liable as lying with a man. If you have relations by way of the female organ, you would be exempt. A tumtum, we had this a few times already. The reproductive area is blocked. You don't know if it's male or female, so we're in doubt. If somebody has relations with a tumtum or with a hermaphrodite using the female reproductive organ, the rabbis can give him lashes, but Torah, biblically, we cannot hold him accountable. Fascinating. A hermaphrodite who has both organs can marry a woman. In other words, for this law, we consider him to be a man, and he can marry a regular woman. Tezayin. Habal habehema shehevi behema olav. A man who engages in relations with an animal.
They cannot marry each other.
I don't think so. I don't think. I didn't say, but I don't think so. Tezayin habal habehema shehevi behema olav. If somebody has relations with an animal or brings an animal upon him, shnei niskalin, they both get stoned. Shenemar, as it says, uvechol behema lo yisitein shechavtecha. There it is. No animal shall you put your lying with them. Bein sheriva'a oyheviya alav. Whether the human was active or the human was passive. Ve'echad behema ve'echad chaya ba'oif. The truth is, Torah says the word behema, but it applies to all living creatures. Animal, beast, bird, hakol biskila. All of them are liable to stoning. V'leichilek hakasav b'behema bein gedela likatana. Although by a human being, the age makes a difference, with animals, age makes no difference. There's no difference in adult and child. Shenemar uvechol behema. It says any animal. Afilu b'yom leidasa, even on the day of its birth. Haba ben kedarka ben shaloi kedarka. One who has relations either in the natural way or the unnatural way. Kevan sheher rabba, a sheher sabai, chayav. Once there's the insertion of the organ on either level, from the human or from the animal, chayav, they're liable. Yud zayin katan ben tesha shanim v'yem echad shabal habehema yevi alav. If the human being was a child, more than 9 years old, that had relations with an animal, he niskeles al yadai. The animal is stoned. By the way, whenever there's bestiality, the animal also gets killed. So here, like the man and the woman, if the boy is older than 9 years old, while he is not liable, the animal is. V'hu pater, he's exempt. Haya ben pesha ipachais, ein cycling nesabehema. If it's less than 9 years old, you don't even stone the animal. Same with the other way. If it's a girl who's bringing the animal upon her, and the girl is more than 3 years old, whether it's an adult animal or a minor animal, once the animal inserts the beginning of the organ into the girl, whether naturally or unnaturally, the animal is now stoned, and she is exempt because she's only 3 years old. But at least she's 3 to make the animal liable. If she was an adult, of course they both get stoned, the animal and the girl. But if she's less than 3 years old, even the animal is not stoned. Same thing if there was bestiality. Either way, inadvertently, the animal does not get stoned. Even if both the human and the animal are adults. Another general rule. In any case of forbidden relationships where one was an adult and one was a minor, the minor is exempt, the adult is liable, as we explained. If one is sleeping and one is awake, the sleeping one is exempt, only the awake one is liable. If one was purposeful and one was inadvertent, the purposeful one is liable, the inadvertent one brings a sacrifice. And if one is forced and one is willful, the forced one is exempt, as we explained. Halacha Yutes. We said before that witnesses have to witness the act in order to be liable. Now, what do they have to witness? The witnesses are not required to see the adulterers. They don't have to witness the actual act where one inserts the other like a paintbrush in a tube. The moment he sees the two clinging to each other, like people in relations do, they can be killed just by seeing that. We don't say, maybe there was no insertion. The presumption of this form is that probably something happened, there was an act that was done. Once somebody has a presumption of being related, we judge the case based on the presumption. Even if we don't have a clear proof that they're related. And we can give lashes and burn and stone and choke based on this presumption. What does that mean? What does that look like? Everybody in the city knows this is his sister, this is the daughter, or this is the mother. We have a clear proof? No, everybody knows it. This is the chazakah. and the man has relations with her, with witnesses watching, he'll get lashes or burnt or stoned. Even though there's no clear proof that this is a sister or mother or daughter, it's only a presumption. And the Rambam goes so far, tells us a story. It's very rare that the Rambam tells us stories. But here he has a story. There was a story. There was a woman who came to Jerusalem with a baby on her shoulder. And she raised him. And everybody knew this is her son. Now nobody saw her give birth. She came with the baby. Later on in life, the son had relations with this woman. They brought her to court and they stoned her. Nobody knew. Again, there was chazakah, just presumption. That was enough. Here's a proof to this. The Torah says that if a person curses his father or hits his father, he must die. Now, with a mother, there's a pretty clear proof. If you see the birth, you know there's the mother. How can we ever know for 1,000% fact, if you don't do DNA testing, that this is the father? Rather, it's a presumption. Same thing with any other case of relatives, we always assume that they're related by presumption. We have a man and a woman come to Sherman Oaks one day from somewhere. And they tell us, this one says, this is my wife. She says, this is my husband. Once they're around for 30 days, under the assumption that they're married, we can kill somebody based on her. If someone will have relations with her, we consider her to be a fully married woman, and they get killed. Because you have to have 30 days of chazakah. During the first 30 days, we won't kill her, or we won't kill people on account of her, saying she's a married woman, unless 30 days pass. If a woman is presumed to be a nida in her neighborhood, see, today we don't really know when a woman is on her cycle. But in those days, when a woman was a nida, you had to know, because anything she touched would become impure. So there was a special, between the women in the neighborhood, everybody would know. There was a way to know. They would wear different clothes or whatever. So once she's under the presumption of being a nida amongst her neighbors, if we see the husband engaging in relations with her, we'll give him lashes on account of relations with a nida. We just finished these laws, the sota laws. Somebody warns his wife against seclusion with another man, and she goes into seclusion. And one witness comes and says that there was actually also adultery. And her husband was a Kohen, in which case we learned that it's totally forbidden. And he has relations with her afterwards. He gets lashes on account of marrying a woman who engaged in a forbidden relationship. Even though the whole testimony is only one witness, but the fact that she was warned and went into seclusion, she already has a chazakah, that she's already acting like a prostitute, and therefore only one witness is enough to establish her identity as a zonah, and if the Kohen will then marry her, he gets lashes. Chav Gimel, ha'av she'amar biti zu mikudashas hilazeh. A father who says, this is my daughter, and she's engaged to this guy, because the father has that right. When a girl is under bas mitzvah, he can marry her off. So the father comes and says, you should know everybody, my daughter is engaged to that guy. Afal pishu neman v'tinasela, even though he's believed to allow, and then the marriage can go forward, but he's not believed so far. Im zinsa, if she's adulterous, eina niskeles al piv, she will not get stoned by his word. Ad sheyusham edim shenis arsa b'fneim, unless we have witnesses who can testify that they watched the consecration. Just on the father's word, we're not going to get her killed. Same thing if a woman comes, an adult woman shows up, she says, you should know, I'm already engaged. Somebody gave me a ring. If she then goes with another man, we're not going to kill her by her own word. Unless there's witnesses, or there's a chazakah, there's a presumption of 30 days living with somebody as married. And only then is she considered to be a fully married woman.